Hi guys, Robbo46 here, welcome to part 2 of AMA, Ask Me Anything. Now you guys have been asking me lots of questions and this is part 2 of my answers to those questions. If you haven't seen part 1 and you don't see your question in this part, I would suggest go and watching part 1 first, because if it's not in this part, it'll definitely be in part 1. Again, apologies for any names I pronounce completely wrong. But I'll try my best as always. So let's get on with the rest of the questions. So the first question is from Gammy Official. I hope I pronounced that right. Do you have a motorbike? What is it? Yeah, I have a Yamaha RD400, which you can see in part 1. There's a little clip of it running. Next question is from AS or AS. What's your controller button layout for MotoGP? Default or custom? I use default. I've been using default for a very long time. I think the only game I've actually changed the layout was the Alaman TT game, where I actually changed it to the same button layout as MotoGP games. So yeah, just right trigger for accelerate, left trigger for front brake, left bumper for the clutch when getting off the start finish grid, A for rear brake, B for gear up, X for gear down, and Y for manual tuck-in, and obviously the analog stick to steer. So yeah, that just nothing special. I just use the default button layout. I know some people use custom, but I personally definitely prefer the default layout. Next question, Apia Benjamin or Apia Benjamin. I prefer you starting from the last position, because within 2-3 laps you are first. It makes me feel boring. I apologise if it makes you feel bored. Yeah, it all depends on the bike and the track and that, and I tend to use qualifying as kind of... Well, I generally use free practice to see whereabouts I am, well, whereabouts I could qualify. And the thing is, if I'm not actually that much quicker, then I prefer starting in a decent grid position, because if I start at the back and I'm only, like, say, a tenth quicker, then it's going to be nigh on impossible for me to win the race. So yeah, plus with the AI as well, because they have no spatial awareness, if you're at like mid-pack and they all take some weird lines on some tracks where they'll go up the inside of you, but they all run wide. So if they're up the inside of you and they all run wide, they push you even more wide and off the track, and it gets very, very frustrating. So yeah, that's why I kind of stopped starting from the back of the grid. But yeah, I don't know, I probably won't start again in MotoGP 18. But yeah, it's difficult. If the AI was smarter and that, it wouldn't be a problem. But it's purely the fact that they don't know you're there, and they will quite easily just go into the back of you or push you off track and stuff like that, and it does make it very frustrating. So next question, Jack van der Meij. I did in your last career video, lol. Okay, that's not really a question, but okay. Next question from Kanish Routhen. Hey Robbo46, I recently got into MotoGP 18 and found your channel. You're amazing. Thank you very much. I would love to know some beginner tips for getting into MotoGP, braking and cornering. Love the vids. Thank you. Loads of people ask me this question, and literally the best thing you can do is just practice. Go into time trial. If you need to use some of the aids to begin with, then absolutely by all means use them. But as you start to get to like learn the tracks, learn your braking markers, and like learn your gearing and all that, then start switching the aids off one by one, and then obviously once you switch one off, try and get used to it again, and then by the end of the time that you're done with practicing, you'll know the track, you'll know what gears you're meant to be in. If you're using manual gears, you'll know your braking markers, and yeah, you'll be able to do it without any of the like telemetry line or the assisted braking or anything like that. So yeah, that's all I can say really. That's the best thing for racing games, is literally just practice until you know everything. It will take a very long time. I mean, it's taken me since MotoGP 2 on the PS2 to get where I am now, but you know, it takes a lot of patience, and if you put the time in, then you will get results, but it mainly just comes down to you and how much time you're willing to put into practicing. Next question from Coffee Samurai. How did you get your channel name? Surprised no one's actually asked me this before, but Robbo46, I mean, when I was at school, my nickname was Robbo, mainly to do with my surname, but yeah, it's kind of stuck ever since then. And when I came to do my gamer tag for Xbox, and then eventually going on to do a YouTube channel, I was thinking, well, I don't want to have just Robbo. So being a Rossi fan, I stuck 46 at the end, and yeah, that's it. I mean, nothing too exciting, but yeah, that's it. Just an old nickname and Rossi's number stuck together, and there you go. That's how I came up with it. It's, yeah, simple. Okay, next question from Siege Lajos, I think. What do you think about Marquez's crash at Motegi? I'm assuming you're on about the one he had in free practice. I mean, it didn't affect him. It, like, a lot of his crashes don't affect him. It didn't affect him. He carried on. He went on to win the championship. So yeah, it is a crash. It was a minor setback for him because he wrecked his #1 bike, and he couldn't qualify as well as he wanted to with his #2 bike. But by the time it came back to the racing, the #1 bike was ready and he was ready to go. So yeah, it didn't really affect him too badly. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions from Jordan Gear. I'm pretty sure you asked a question in the first one, but do you think next year will be Rossi's year? And where can I buy Robbo46 stickers for my bike, and they have to be allowed on a track? So, do I think next year will be Rossi's year? I mean, as a Rossi fan, I would love to say yes, but realistically, I don't think so. I mean, Yamaha need to make a big step forward, that's for sure. And if the bike's there, then definitely won't be his year. I mean, we've literally had the first Yamaha win at the weekend at Phillip Island that we've had in, like, what, 25 races? Which is Yamaha's longest period ever without going with a race win. So it will be difficult, but ultimately I think it's going to be obviously between Marquez, depending on how Lorenzo gets on the Honda as well. I think he'll get on pretty well with the Honda, so I think he'll be up there. Obviously Dovizioso. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but the Yamaha needs to make a big step, but whether they have the time in that period to make that step, it will depend on Yamaha themselves. Making you buy Robbo46 stickers. You can't buy any official Robbo46 stickers, they don't exist, but I may look into doing some sort of merchandising at some point, maybe stickers or t-shirts or something. So yeah, hopefully in the future at some point there will be some available somewhere. So this one's from Carl. He asks, favourite band and / type of music. So I'm really into metal and rock music, which you probably kind of already figured out from the music I've used in my intros for my videos over the last few years, and when I do like other stuff like the Robbo's Racing League, where all the riders in the league and that, always trying to use like metal music and stuff like that. So that's my favourite type of music. Favourite band? I do like Avenged Sevenfold. I do have their Deathbat logo tattooed on my back. But I mean, like last year I saw Avenged Sevenfold live, as well as Disturbed, Foo Fighters as well. They were awesome live, and I saw Metallica as well. And this year I haven't seen any bands, which sucks, but yeah, I just love that kind of music. It's something that I kind of developed over growing up, and that when I was a lot younger, I was really into Linkin Park, but kind of as I got older, kind of started more like preferring heavy stuff. So yeah, that's the kind of music I like. So yeah, make of that what you will. All of February or all of February. Finish the season in factory Honda with full bike development upgrades, please. That's probably not going to happen because, like I've said, the last season I'm going to be doing, which the first video of that season will be up online to watch now, is going to be with the Red Bull KTM. And the thing is, with doing the full development upgrades, that means putting a lot more time into it, because I'll have to do the development tests every single round just to make sure I've got enough credits to do, well, development points to be able to fully upgrade the bike. And by the time it's fully upgraded, there's only like a handful of races left in the season anyway, so it kind of it just takes too long to do, really. So I won't be doing that, but maybe I'll use the Repsol Honda in a rider career or something. Next question from Valentino Venue. Next season, ride with a factory Ducati and show your stats in every video. So I will be showing my stats in every video from now on, even though you, like, after every couple of races you kind of work them out yourself, but I will be showing my stats at the end of the videos now. So I won't be showing them at the beginning or after every race, I'll just be showing them at the end of the video. So be sure to stick around for that if you're interested in that. But again, just like the Honda, I won't be using a factory Ducati in career mode, but possibly in a rider career using one of the official riders. Okay, so next question from, no idea how the hell to pronounce that, Pro Cow, I don't know. Again, apologies if I pronounced that completely wrong, which I more than likely did. If possible, I'd like to see what you look like. Definitely, I'd like to know more about you personally, age, job, hometown, etc. So, a lot of those were asked in part 1. Obviously, I'm not doing a face reveal just yet. Age 28, job, I'm a chef, hometown, well, I live in Dorset, I live in a town in Dorset, so southwest of England. Yeah, next question from Moto Cheesy. That's a good name. If there was one bike you could ride, what would it be? Wow. I think I would like to ride my favourite bike, the Suzuki RGV 250R. But I think everyone who's into like bike racing or something would like to ride a MotoGP bike at some point. Just to be interesting to see how they actually feel to ride, and to kind of feel the full force of the carbon ceramic brakes. So yeah, it's I think a lot of people would definitely want to experience a MotoGP bike at some point. KGP Guna, hey Guna, how about doing some live racing and a live stream to add to the difficulty, buddy? Live streaming is something that I have tried a couple of times. I don't know, live streaming's never really interested me that much, to be honest. I kind of prefer doing my things my own way. I never really found that when I did live stream that it added to the difficulty. I mean, when we were doing some of the league racing, I did try streaming the final race, which on my end was streaming, but apparently it wasn't actually streaming. But it didn't affect my overall performance, and I don't think it would add to the difficulty. Not on like a MotoGP game anyway, but if it was on a different game, then possibly would add to the difficulty. But so yeah, I may try and get into live streaming at some point, but like I say, it's not really something that's really interested me that much. But if more people want to see it, then maybe I will try it at some point, maybe when like Ride 3 comes out or something. Next question from Saurav Kumar. How do you apply brake, front or rear or both? I use both, but I use them independently. I don't use joint braking, which is like one of the aids. yeah, mainly use the front brake. I try and use the rear brake to stop the rear kicking out too much. And I try and use the rear brake when accelerating at corners, try and keep the front end down. But the weird thing in MotoGP games, not too bad in MotoGP 18, but definitely previous MotoGP games, if you press the rear brake to keep your front end down when you're doing a wheelie under power, then it kind of used to make the front end pogo, so it kind of made it worse rather than just let it drop naturally. So that was a big pain in the ass, but it's not too bad on MotoGP 18. But yeah, I do use both brakes. I just tend to use front brake more than the rears. Obviously they do in real life anyway. And just kind of try and use the rear brake to stabilise the bike more than anything. Josh Warner asks, 1, do you think Yamaha can come back next year? And 2, do you think Rossi will pull out and retire if the bike does not improve? Well, I'll answer the second question first. I don't think Rossi would pull out if the bike doesn't improve. I think he would see out his contract, because otherwise he might have just walked away from the sport completely during the 2 years he's at Ducati. But he didn't. I think he would try and stick with it and try his best to help Yamaha improve the bike. But do you think Yamaha can come back next year? It's going to take a lot of work, because Yamaha, despite winning at Phillip Island, and I mean they have been getting slightly better over the last few races, it's definitely nowhere near where it needs to be. However, next season they're going to be having a European test team for the first time. Jonas Folger is going to be one of the test riders, and we know that Rossi watched and studied Folger from Sachsenring last year to help him this year, so I think Folger will be a good test rider for Yamaha. And of course there will be 2 full factory Yamaha teams in the paddock next year, with the addition of the Sepang International Circuit Petronas team with Franco Morbidelli and Fabio Quartararo riding for them. So I think an extra factory team will help with the bike's development. And yeah, they just need to do as much work as they can to develop the bike. And I know that Rossi was on about potentially getting a V4 engine for the Yamaha, but whether that helps or not, I mean, that's yet to be seen. But I think that Yamaha are going to be putting a lot more into it next season to try and give the riders the bike that they need to be able to fight at the front. So yeah, we have to wait and see, but fingers crossed they do. But it's not going to be like a one night, over the night kind of job. It may not be there all of a sudden straight away. It may take longer to progress and get them where they need to be, but I think overall they will eventually get there. It's just, you know, they've kind of gone backwards in terms of development recently, and yeah, the bike just maybe it needs something different. And I think also the way that the new tyres have been developed, it doesn't suit the characteristics of the Yamaha, because the Yamaha in previous years has been all about corner speed and being able to corner nicely and that, and yeah, it doesn't suit the new type of tyres. The new type of tyres need to be stood up and fired out, which is obviously what the Honda does best, what the Ducati does best now as well. So I think Yamaha definitely need to change something to kind of step back from what the Yamaha is renowned for, which is corner speed, and try and develop in a way that it kind of suits the tyres more. So yeah, it will take a while, but I think that eventually they will get there. But whether it will be next year, who knows, we'll have to wait and see, but fingers crossed they do. Carl Webb asks, are we going to see an online championship? Not on MotoGP 18. I did explain in the last video, it's purely down to online stability is not there, or is not in a place where I need it to be able to run a league with collisions on, and I refuse to run a league with collisions off anymore because it's not real racing. But fingers crossed when Ride 3 comes out, providing the online stability is good on online for Ride 3, then I will run a league on Ride 3. So fingers crossed. Dan Greenfield asks, hi Robbo, do you have a bike? If so, what is it? And would you consider doing some kind of organised bike meet, subject to where you live? I'm guessing southwest-ish by the accent. Yeah, you are right, southwest. Either a cafe or BSB round. Cheers, Dan. Well, as you already know by now, I do have a bike, a Yamaha RD400. Doing a bike meet, it would be quite cool to do that actually, but at the moment I don't really have any plans of doing that. So maybe in the future at some point I might look into that. Next question from Budco Racing. Do you track/race in real life? What is your favourite country to visit in Europe? No, I don't race in real life. Favourite country in Europe? That's a difficult one. I haven't been to them all, so it's difficult. I mean, I've been to Spain. Spain's very nice. So is France, Germany as well. I don't know. I mean, not next year. Year after, 2020, we're going to be going to Mugello for MotoGP. So maybe ask me again after Mugello. Okay, so next question from Danny Foggin. Should MotoGP do something similar to BSB, e.g. have no traction control? Absolutely. I think they should. I think that the way that MotoGP's going, that electronics are definitely, you know, a big part of the bike development, is as important at the moment to the bike itself. Obviously, they're all on the same kind of ECU package, but it would be nice to see bikes going away from traction control again. Yeah, I mean, BSB have proven you still get real close racing with no traction control. Obviously, they didn't have any back in the 500 era. So, yeah, I would like to see traction control get taken away from MotoGP. It would add another level of skill as well, because then their traction control will be their right wrist. So it would be interesting to see. I know that obviously it all comes down to safety, but if they're trying to cut down costs at the same time, then I think the electronics is definitely something they need to look at a bit more. But yeah, I would like to see what would happen without any traction control. So next one is from Strides TV. Might be a bit late, but which race is the best race you've ever seen, excluding this year's Assen race? Well, probably answer you're probably expecting, but that would be Catalonia 2009. Obviously with Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo battling right down to the final lap, and Rossi managing to shove up the inside through the final corner. So I'd probably put that down as my favourite race in MotoGP. Okay, next question is from Floki. What's a good way to start to set up bikes in the game? How did you learn how to do so? So again, this was kind of from practice, and basically the best way to set up a bike, because everyone plays a bit different, everyone's got a different play style, is just to experiment. And you have to do a lot of laps in time trial and then kind of work out kind of what the bike's doing. If it's understeering a bit, then you need to obviously look at suspension and that, and just experiment with stuff. You will get points where you end up going slower, but I would say use default setup to begin with. Go as quick as you can until you get to a point where you can't go any quicker, and that is when you need to start changing the settings, because then you know that the settings are making a difference and not just you doing a different line for a corner or something. So that's kind of the best advice I can give you to setting up a bike, is just go as quick as you physically can using default. When you can't go any quicker, start messing around with the settings, and then if you start going slower, then change them back. But don't change a load of settings at the same time, because if you do end up going quicker, you won't know what actually caused that to cause you to go quicker. So it's always be mindful of changing things one at a time, so then you kind of get a better understanding of what's going on. So the final question is from Craig Platts. Do you think it would be good if someone would bring out a BSB game? If it was done well, then yeah, it would be good. However, the only thing that's probably stopping people from making a BSB game is that obviously it's a national championship. It is like one of the best national championships around. But obviously it's not worldwide, so the audience for it would be very, very small compared to, say, like a World Superbike game or a MotoGP game, which is like the championship is a world championship rather than a national championship. So although it would be good to see a BSB game, I don't think anyone would be rushing to make one just because the audience would be quite small. But if it was done well, it could be really good. But yeah, there we go, guys. That wraps it up. Thank you again to everyone who submitted questions for the AMA. Really enjoyed doing it, so maybe we'll do another one at some point in the future. Yeah, again, apologies for anyone's name that I mispronounced. I don't think there was too many bad ones in this part of it. But yeah, thank you once again. Thank you for all the support and everything. And let's continue growing. And yeah, let's look forward to Ride 3 and see how that's going to turn out. But yeah, again, thank you all so much for submitting questions. There's some nice and interesting ones there. So, and everyone kept it clean, so that's a big bonus. But yeah, anyway, guys, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. See you!